So Robin asked me to cover life cycle assessments. I got about 1 slide on life cycle assessment, just to refresh. It's basically looking at the whole distribution and life cycle of a product, service, asset, you name it, all the way from products, raw materials, construction, use, end of life. And when we do these LCAs, we typically end up with a lot of uncertainty because we cover supply chains that are global, and you typically only know your little piece of it. So LCA reports end up being quite lengthy, all uncertainty analysis and scenarios. So the remedy for that is the environmental product declaration, which basically is you take an LCA study and you summarize it into 4 pages, 5 pages, 15 pages, according to some predefined rules. You have it verified and certified and made it publicly available so everyone can access it. That's a requirement to be an ISO compliant environmental product declaration. So it's really a short form of an LCA. What's in a construction product, EPD, would be a lot of information. It's not really making a statement whether it's a preferable product, like GECA, for example. It gives you the summary of the LCA in terms of your carbon footprint, your water use, how much resources went into this to make this product, how many of them were renewable, what comes out at the end in terms of hazardous waste, non-hazardous waste, potential for recycling, etc. So you get access to all this information in the EPD. Now, to put it in context here, the Type 3 Environmental Product Declaration doesn't say preferable or non-preferable. It covers all fit for purpose and legal products. And then you have the role of the Type 1 eco-labels, which looks at the high end of the market where you have high performance. So those are the Type 1, Type 3 language around. Now, environmental product declaration is also a global phenomenon. It started pretty much in Europe, where it covers most countries, spread to North America, South America, Australasia. We got on with it a year and a half ago, really. And the growth of EPDs, there's about 140 new EPDs annually, and it's a growth rate. So in total, there's about 500 just from these programs, the International EPD program and the Australasian EPD program. So that's 265 construction product EPDs out there that you can access, which is a wealth of information. There's also the IBU scheme, which is German-centric, but they really got on with it. They got over 1,500 EPDs of construction products covering everything that goes into a building. So it's really well taken up there. But it's not just construction. Looking internationally, it's been applied by Acciona, for example. They do EPDs on whole infrastructure projects. Bombardier doing it for planes and trains, rolling stock, electricity, milk, packaging, and hygiene pads. So it's basically across all types of products. There's no focus specifically on construction. In Australia, we've seen the following, in Australia and New Zealand. We've seen these EPDs starting to happen. It's quite recent, but since 2015, 9 organizations have taken this on board and produced about 25 of these product declarations, which in its own right covers a whole range of products. So we got Vinidex, for example, here in Piper. They published EPDs for pretty much their whole product range, PVC, polypropylene, polyethylene. So it's all available, and it's pretty big brands as well coming out of Australia. James Hardie as well, Blue Scope. So the big boys are really getting on with it, which is great, making the data available. Now, how this fits. So there's a lot of standards out there, but this is the European kind of vision about what they want to get to. They want to get to an integrated building performance assessment. And they realize we need to cover the triple bottom line. It needs to be technical. It needs to be functional. And then you have framework level, building level, and product level standards. What we're talking about on EPDs is the product level building block for primarily environmental, although it's covering some social stuff as well. And it's feeding into the whole asset level assessment on environmental level. And this has been adopted. So Green Star, IS rating tool, LEED, BREEAM, and the German rating tool as well, they all reference now and incentivize EPDs. And they use it for the whole overall assessment to show that they can deliver an optimized outcome and an optimized result. Second part of my presentation is what's next. So that's a snapshot of LCAs and environmental product declarations. And when we talk about sustainability, I think recognizing where it's coming from, and it's coming from a pretty negative place. It's a reaction of something bad happening. That's why we're talking about it. And it was really the 70s and 80s, I mean, when I grew up, it was all limits to growth, deforestation, nuclear winter, you name it. It was all pretty depressing. And then in the 90s, start to develop this, well, we need to do something, how do we do something? And academics were pondering, which frameworks, which methods. And in the 2000s, we start to see this, carbon market emerging, business cases like Interface Carpet, for example, saying we're actually a better business for doing this, saving resources. What we thought was to do well was actually really profitable. And now we're seeing this increased transparency with eco-labels, EPDs, rating tools. All the information is made available for people. And we see the business integration happening, that people actually start to say, well, we're actually going to have 30% of our procurement decisions on non-commercial basis. Triple bottom line assessments, I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Social value creations, the social return on investments. What do we give back to community by doing this? Whole of life, collaboration between different parts of supply chains. And the tools and data is available for this to happen. It wasn't 10 years ago, it is now, which is causing innovation to happen. And next, we're going to see this data being used. Once you put data out there, people are going to come up with really clever ways to use it to get a competitive advantage, I promise you that. And this will lead to, well, I can't do this alone. I need to collaborate with my supplier or my client to make this happen. So you've got these life cycle solutions happening, supply chain partnerships is going to develop, and we need to scale up. So this can't be, a few handpicked leaders doing something. The challenge is massive, as Robin spoke about before. And also hand printing. I'll come back to hand printing, assuming most people don't know exactly what it means. But finally, also monetizing sustainability, doing something to create a social value or saving the environment or making an environmental improvement. What money does it actually, monetary savings or benefits does it actually deliver, and to who? It might not be the one paying the money, but someone else is benefiting, and putting a monetary value on it is really crucial for decision making. So we know that resources, population is growing. It's not going away. We need more and more. We see the concrete, for example, and cement industry is basically exponential growth. In terms of concrete, we consume per capita about 500 kilograms of concrete, not consuming, but it's the same amount of that we eat. We eat about 500 kilograms of food every year. We use the same amount of concrete. And it's going to increase. And if we look at where does it go, exactly. So right now, we look at concrete. 70% of it is used, but it's downcycled, right? We look at timber, about 58% is going to landfill. And steel, which is always talking about the recyclability, yeah, they remelt it, but it's a highly energy-intensive process, and only 6% is actually being reused. I mean, these are the great opportunities. We've done several, I think hundreds of LCAs, and it's always the same conclusion. Extended product responsibility, take-back schemes, that's the silver bullet. Don't have to manufacture it in the first place. Take it back, repurpose it, and resell it. More profitable as well, I'm sure. So that is really one thing that's coming forward. The other thing, when we talk about LCA and life cycle assessment, we think about it as footprint. Again, the negative thing about I have an impact. And there's a good thing about doing footprinting, because you actually look at what you can control and what you can improve, and you can learn more about what the nature of it is. The downside is that you're limited. You're only looking at what's inside your own boundary, and you've probably already done most of the low-hanging fruit. And your footprint is always going to be minuscule compared to the planet's footprint. So you feel not really empowered. Yeah, we do all this stuff, but it's not changing the big picture. So why constrain what you can do, the harm by what you're doing with what you can achieve together? So it's the thought around kind of how can I access the humanity's footprint and do something? And that's hand printing. By saying, I play a small part, but if I can collaborate and expand and create value and express that value with the same rigor that we do our eco-labels and environmental product declarations today, the same rigor around the value that you're creating and the solutions you're doing, that's the hand printing. And organizations can go out and say, yeah, I know my footprint, it's here, but look at the value I created. Look at the benefits I bring to society. If I had more time, I'll do a case study, but I know I probably don't. Final slide. No, second final slide. Northwest Rail Link, or NRT now. This was a challenging project we worked on together with John Holland Group and the consortium. So we were thrown infrastructure sustainability rating, tool requirements, the sustainable design guidelines from Transport for New South Wales, project-specific requirements coming from the sustainability strategy, etc. I think the list was like 500 sustainability-related requirements. Now, when you're bidding for a project, how do you show that you're not just ticking the boxes, but you're actually doing something with this and innovating and creating some value? So we simplified it right down. I know this little thing here is in the way. I don't know if we can do anything about that, but this is basically how we help articulate the benefits to the. So basically, it's bringing the financial implication, economic implication, on the same page as the environmental and the social, and show that you're basically juggling 3 lines, the triple bottom line, and that you made effort on trading all of them off and delivering an optimized solution. And by pulling that together, you get away from this, endless list of prescriptive and aspirational requirements to what does the outcome look like? What does the solution look like? We know that we have to invest a bit more upfront in order to get these social returns down the track. Maybe not tomorrow, but 20 years down the track. Legacy, repurposing, and the environmental impact. We know we have to invest some environmental impact upfront to dig stuff out of the ground and put the materials and construct the stations. Oh, it kind of restarted. So this is the way we illustrated this, that you start at the beginning of the project and you have to take some cost. You have to take some impacts beginning, but we're looking at the life cycle story that we want the end result decades from now to be the optimal solution, and looking at the economic, environmental and social outcomes at the same time. So bringing that together, I'm not pretty sure that's not what won them the project, but I think it helped the sustainability and showing that the construction companies got it. So I think that's where it's going. Triple bottom line assessment, bringing it all together and bring it from impact to value. And you can't do it without information and data. And that's why you need life cycle assessment in the beginning to make all this happen. Thank you.